Um, so Duane, on a previous call, you mentioned how easy it is for us to become self-convinced, and I've been going over what you said this week a lot, um, and I've come to realize that I guess a part of me was still holding on to the idea of going with the flow. So I was wondering if you could share your views on, I guess, that idea of going with the flow. And I suppose it's like related to fate and things like that.
Well, again, it's, yeah, that's an old saying, just go with the flow. In other words, look at yourself when you use that idea. And it's an old idea that it's like, when you're with your friends or whatever, and you've had conversations in the past, I'll use the past. And I used to say that once in a while, didn't really say it a lot, but I'd hear people say it, and it's in marketing. And especially when it's in marketing, what's the idea? Just go along with everything, okay? Just go along with it. You don't have to, make waves, whatever, just go with the flow. It's really, it's an unconscious control is what it is. Is that what you're deciding? Well, I don't decide to go with the flow. So what is the flow, okay? Is that the Force in Star Wars or whatever? So again, you are the decider. You define your experience. To me, with what it is now, I use isness, I use new you, I use you, etc. I use certain things that are new now, and I always use, along with other things, the sun as an image within myself. In other words, always comparing, because when you look at the sun, or you use that imagery of the sun, and there doesn't have to be an idea around it, because there are no ideas. When you look at the sun shining, there's no belief, there's no this, there's no going with the flow or any of these things. You see, you add those things. And this is where life is really invisible. The whole of it is invisible. It's not seen. So when we're having experiences here, or on the real side, the whole of life is still invisible. That recognizable, invisible reality, even into the silence part of it, is where your real freedom is. It's right here and now, you see? And so by the very fact that the more that you stand in that and recognize that, the more capable you are of taking care of yourself through your process in creation, you see? So again, every idea here, like meditation or yoga or spiritual or all these things, religion, again, they are old, unconscious control factors now. That's what they've automatically become because of the new nowness that I've brought forward here and recognized and presented. Well, these things don't work anymore. It's like the old piston engine. It's outdated. We don't need cars and stuff like that. You can move things, you can move yourself around without that, and that's in your real awareness. So, but it takes a while to be able to do these things. But again, it's not about doing the magic tricks or whatever. Your awareness supersedes everything. But look at society and the ideas that it comes to know and utilize it, and those things that are most popular. Okay, what is trending now is the idea. Well, that's social consciousness, and the social consciousness has been fed that. Like Soylent Green. It's like, oh, okay, the latest thing is eat Soylent Green, which is grinded up old bodies. Kind of like Oscar Mayer bologna. That's all it is, and so it's trending now. So you decide, Eric, what it's going to be. But again, those are old things, and just like the hue, we don't use it anymore simply because now the controllers have it. And it's all tap lining. It's just very, very real, and many people have experiences with this. And Sandy and Bob are one, as they've come from the corporation as the latest, and others, and all the tap lining and all the nonsense that they have went through. Yeah, these old cliches, again, see, people create these things in their comfort zone. And as you look on Facebook as an example, and you've got all this different stuff, the awakening people and the Palladians and, just on and on. These are cute little comfort ideas. And, they're really just astral and physical. People add their emotions and ideas and, the love flame thing, the purple flame, and the source, and all these things. Well, the is, again, the personal self keeps trying to define what life is. And really, it's that you should allow life to show you what it is. And so when you keep deciding what it is, well, that's what it's not, realistically. But again, people have defined that. And just like the membership and the corporation, they look to Harry. This is where Joni has marketed to where just carry Harry's picture around. And they won't look to Rebazar or Paul anymore. They won't see what's on the real side because they're very comfortable. And these old ideas, they're little comfort zones for the personal self. You have to be the real risk taker to really recognize and stand real with the all is. More so than the sun shining. But you decide that. You decide, just like becoming a doctor, you got to go through the schooling. You got to go through the process. But if you really want to become that doctor, you already see yourself as that doctor, don't you? And then one day, all of a sudden, boing, there you are. You're standing in it. But even when you do that, just like when the president is voted in, guess what? That's that moment. You're not really the president yet now, and you're really not the doctor yet. Oh yeah, you went through the schooling, and people labeled themselves. They become self-convinced. Oh, I'm the doctor. No, a real doctor performs. It's not about the degree and the schooling. A real person performs, you see. That becomes the difference, and they demonstrate. So it's the first day on the job, isn't it? And just like as I took this position, etc., I'm constantly, you might say, growing into it is the idea. It's not that instantly, like a Pop-Tart out of your toaster that, whoa, I'm it. There's no such thing. You have to grow into it, and I see no end to that. And so I just do the best I can, moment by moment. I'm very real with it. Harry on stage, when he got up there and Darwin, announced him, which that was all a setup and a takeover. Again, this is how it is with corporations and what have you, and from one president to another, all of a sudden this man's the president. Well, people demonstrate themselves. Does it make sense? You want to be part of this? How about to be part of something that does make sense, and especially with this world that's so bent on destroying itself? So these old ideas are cute, aren't they? They're very comfortable. And yes, we become self-convinced by them. Is that what you want? Because again, then you build your little world, and it's all about you. And that's it. I put the whole of life first, and I like to see and explore what's going to come up, and I take the risk. I'm not saying I'm right. It's not about it. I just take the risk. I just do the best I can to try and make sense of something. And for the most part, with what's going on with the world today, it's warning the world, at least giving them a chance, because the world really does not have a chance. This place is so unconsciously controlled, people cannot see it. And so what they do is they just keep agreeing to their surfacey world, thinking that, oh, okay, I'm fine, this is that. It's none of that. But again, to bring that forth. So these old sayings, they're cute, but guess what? Doesn't really mean anything. It's an isness. There is no flow, you see? There's a flow like rivers and what have you. In creation, there is a flow here. Ebb tide, low tide, high tide, etc., back and forth, cause and effect. But the isness is already complete. This is what's so cool about it. There's no flaws. And all you have to do is recognize that and stand real in that. That's the best part. So if it takes you 1,000,000 years, is it worth it? Now you know. After all these lifetimes of struggle and chasing things and crawling and groveling and being beaten down and tortured and controlled, now all you have to do is recognize yourself out of this predicament. It's very simple, but you decide with your intent how to do that. So yeah, these little sayings, they're cute, but again, they start to tag you in your subconscious, and you become self-convinced. Because again, I don't see a flow to anything. It's an isness. This is where I decided UP. No more projecting or soul traveling. You decide your position. You decide to stand in it, just like the sun shining. You're complete. You decide how to see yourself complete, and you work at it accordingly, and you earn that view with the all is and the guides. They will know your intent. You see? It's so cool how it is now. Yeah.
You were speaking about the sun. And it's funny because yesterday I was out with a friend and we were looking up at the sky and the sun was blocked and there was clouds and clouds and clouds. And of course they were spraying all day, but the clouds had waves in them. I mean, it's obviously a controlled situation and, they're blocking the sun. They're really trying to block the sun. It's scary.
Yeah, it is. And it's all part of what is taking place now. It all implies, again, their idea is geoengineering. Oh, this is good for the planet because, if it's the sun's rays or whatever idea that they've invented, a couple, 300 years ago, we didn't have chemtrails, and were they necessary? No. And today it's all these things are necessary. So just even the sun idea, because these things, they have a bearing on what we're doing here, and most people can't see past the clouds. There's places like, as one example, Seattle, Washington up here, where it's usually rainy and cloudy because all the big storms come from Alaska and Aleutians down, and so most of the time it's overcast. And they've done surveys, and a lot of people up there for the longest time were alcoholics and etc. and discouraged and depressed because they didn't see the sun. Every day overcast. See, I take it for granted here. It's like almost at least 300 days of the year. It's sunny here in Huntington Beach, but I'm here because I'm a surfer and I like it here, and etc. So I'm kind of spoiled by the weather, but I like it overcast too. I like the storms. Actually, the other night we had a lightning storm like never before, and I went out to the beach and stood right in the center of it. It was all around, huge lightning bolts. Anytime that there's lightning out there, I go for it. I even go in the water. But it does make a difference. And so all these things that are being shut out and destroyed, they know the psychology of people, and so that's part of it too. People get discouraged, and this is why so many of these agencies and whatever. They have buildings. I knew a good friend of mine, Valerie, many years ago. She worked with the FBI. She was a police lady at first, and then she went on disability. Then she worked for the FBI for a while. Well, she went into a building in L.A. There's no windows, high security, no windows. They don't want people to see out. They want them to be just mind framed a particular way, all these agencies. And so these people have become indoor, and they're being set up for the underground caves, with the grays underground, because the whole earth is tunneled underground, and this is where they live in darkness and underground, etc. So this is everything's being prepped for that, and to keep people unconscious and unaware, because I'm here and we're here. We're the real light here, bringing something very real to this world. And if we weren't here, this world would be a lot worse, because it's actually without violence, without demonstration, without rebelling, it's creating a resistance for them. And so this is why they're very amped and wanting to do the 5G and whatever. They're just very amped to do all this stuff because people are becoming more aware, but they're still struggling. They're getting some knowledge out there, but still they're controlled unconsciously. So yes, the sun, and to recognize that that presence is very helpful here. We need all the help we can get. Just like breathable air and good food, we need all the help we get. Otherwise, we're sick and incapacitated. And where does your focus go? Yeah, it really helps to pay attention to things and do something. While you're here, not just make yourself breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day and watch TV at night. But you can do that. But there's a bigger adventure here, and to earn your way. So, people want this recognition. They want real freedom, but you must earn your way. This is how it is. There is no freedom here. Yeah, you can have a lifestyle, you can have a good job, you can pay your bills. That'll only last so long, and then you'll stand there nowhere because you won't have recognized it. So you have the time now to provide this, share the new you, do something, and earn your way to that recognition, not just collecting knowledge. So, yes, sir, the sun's very important. I see that. Very, very important. I don't like the heat it's producing right now because the ozone is down. I like the wintertime more when I just see the sun, and it's just a kind of a nice neutral day where it's not hot or cold. There's days like that here, which is so cool, to fall and even into the winter, as opposed to it just being burning hot. Because again, with the chemtrails and all the chemicals, they're destroying very rapidly all the ozone. And this place will just fry like Venus and whatever. It's very real because chemical reaction. So trying to do something here in the world and get people more aware realistically to step up. But it's not just thinking that, oh, praying to God and loving the world is going to do it. No, you really have to do something. It's about your real awareness, not just your emotional ideas. So, yes, all that entails, young man, and you're learning a lot. Pay attention, and you'll be shown a whole lot more, yes, as you go along here. And you learn to recognize your intent, especially your real awareness. Lucky you get to risk your life to do something real right now. Yeah.
So the other week, you also mentioned that you continue to give yourself the objective view. I was wondering if you could share more on that, if you don't mind.
Well, I have fun because of how the personal self is. I have fun being indifferent to things. Again, when you see the sun shining, again, it's the best example. I know it sounds rhetoric, but it is indifferent to everything here. But yet it sees everything that goes on, you see? Everything is awareness. So you decide how you're going to see things. So being objective, it's like when you talk to other people or when I do little business deals or whatever, I learn to see it from how they're also seeing it, you see? Yeah, just practice and play around with that and learn to see how they see you, you see? So just kind of play around with that. You can move your view, and that's your real awareness. See, it's not the five bodies. That's your real awareness taking on that view to see something else instead of just seeing it from what you decide personally, because you've set yourself up a particular way. And just like we have a computer here with Skype, it's set up a certain way. My computer's set up a certain way. But hey, there's a billions of other computers out there that do a lot more and etc. You see what I'm saying? It's not just one view. You get locked into yourself, and it's really a lot of fun to move yourself around. And even when I'm on the Skypes here, I don't assume anything. I just take it moment by moment, see what comes up, like your questions and whatever. And then what I do is I just look into the invisible part of life and see what is in this moment here. I take the risk not to just go off my self-convinced knowledge, but I will use that too as a reference. It just depends, but each moment is new. That's the best part of everything.